The calculators are out. The permutations have started. Will the Super Eagles of Nigeria qualify from the group, a group that comprises Ivory Coast, the host country, Equatorial Guinea, the first game opponents, and of course, Guinea-Bissau? That's $1 million question. We will be asking the Super Eagles of Nigeria as they take on Guinea-Bissau in the next game. That's game 2 of the ongoing African Cup of Nations 2024. Welcome to Sports Pizza. My name is Edwin Onyebolis. I'm sure you had a fantastic weekend and your week has started in great fashion. And today, of course, on the show, we'll be talking at length about the African Cup of Nations. Our focus will be on the Super Eagles of Nigeria, not forgetting the Australian Open that started on Sunday, and we've seen some interesting ties and some top guns being knocked out in the first round. Also, we'll crisscross around Europe talking about the best games that we saw from the European League, and the biggest amongst them was the El Clasico, the final of the Supercopa España, where Real Madrid romped to a 4-1 victory over arch-rivals Barcelona, ended 4-1 in favor of Real Madrid, and Vinicius Jr. getting a first half hat-trick, the fastest hat-trick in Clasico by a Real Madrid player. All of this and much more on the show. At this point, we're going to break. When we come back, I'll be introducing my co-analyst on the show, and together we'll make sense of all that we have for you on Sports Pizza. Welcome back. You see your favorite sports show, Sports Pizza. Edwin Onyebolis here in the building alongside Olumide Akombi James. Olumide, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
Yeah, Edwin, it's good to be here once again. A lot of sporting activity happening. Tennis, basketball, football. AFCON is the big one for me. It's good to be here. Yeah.
All right, let's start with the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Game ended 1-1 against Equatorial Guinea. And for the most part, it felt like that all-important winner was going to come. Osimhen had to bite at the cherry. Unfortunately, he fluffed both chances, and it sort of encapsulates the performance of the Super Eagles on the day. It was poor. At some point, it was tepid, devoid of ideas, and you get a feeling that it's going to be a real struggle based off what we saw from them.
Yeah, Edwin, I think I'm not surprised. If you have watched the Super Eagles in the build-up to this AFCON, the qualifiers, the friendlies they've played even before this, I think this is what we know of the Super Eagles. Typical Super Eagles, the shape of the team, you don't know what the idea is, the pattern, and that would happen to a player like Osimhen. What the miss I saw from him, they are typical miss from a striker. A striker is not going to convert every chance, but the more chances he gets, the better it becomes and sharper at goal. And so it's tough, because if you have watched all the teams in all the countries in that group play, you would fear for the qualification for Nigeria. That performance is nothing to hold on to.
All right, so still talking about the Super Eagles of Nigeria from a tactical point of view, I fail to see any form of tactical input from Jose Peseiro at some point where the game was begging for something different from a tactical angle. Maybe change the system, change the formation, swap players. We didn't see any of that from Jose Peseiro. And in his presser, it says, God that gives the win.
Well, I don't know. I'm not big on Jose Peseiro. We know that tactically there's a lot of deficiency in that man, but he's our coach. We have to support him. You look at our team, our squad. Really, who is the game changer? Because we can talk about how we didn't see any tactical input from him. I looked at the bench also. There's nobody that can change the game. We don't have...
But you invited the players.
Well, this is what we have, and this is what we have to do. You have to work with what you have. So I will not solely blame him from not being able to switch formations when things are tough. So players like Victor Boniface, Kelechi Iheanacho, a striker that is more direct, that can give us something different from what you get from a Victor Osimhen. Iheanacho, wide areas, how he can join the midfield and then create something. Unfortunately for us, we don't have these two guys. You look at the bench, you have the tall striker, what's his name? Paul Onuachu. We don't have good guys in wide areas to cross. So I think that our team is just decent enough, and the players will have to be able to interpret the first option, which is go out there and see what you can do. Anything different from that, I don't think and I don't think it's down to Peseiro. We really don't also have the players.
Talking about the players, a couple of them were disappointing. Alex Iwobi, Moses Simon, even Chukwueze came on, didn't create much for the Super Eagles in midfield. It was flat-footed with the exception of Alazan. We'll get to Alazan shortly, but in the second game against Guinea-Bissau, are you expecting changes from Jose Peseiro?
You have to up the ante in the second game because now you have lost 2 points. Guinea-Bissau lost 3 points. They'll be looking to get something from this game against the Eagles, and it becomes tougher at that stage. Your first game is what you should ride on, and for us, we've not started well. They've not started well, so you can see where the battle is coming from. I saw Guinea-Bissau against Cote d'Ivoire, and I have to say that the only thing they lack in that team is composure. Technically, they have a very good shape. You see them, the shape they play. You see the players. They are decent enough to interpret what the manager is doing. Talent-wise, they don't have our talent, but sometimes what you need is that collective effort, and they have that. So I don't know how Peseiro is going to do that, because for us, they won the battle against the host nation in midfield. We have a midfield that is flat, like you have said. So we need bodies in that midfield. And I've highlighted how Iheanacho, we don't really know how fit that man is. Alassane Yusuf, he didn't complete that first game. So we don't also know his fitness issues. So I have a lot of worries in midfield. For Peseiro, he needs to speak with these boys. You've mentioned Moses Simon, Alex Iwobi. Raise your game. In wide areas, do the basic things. Cross the ball in. And perhaps maybe what I'll go with is, in terms of changes for your question, maybe you don't start a Victor Osimhen. You go with Paul Onuachu. I think that when he was introduced, in 1-2 areas where he got the ball, he tried to do something differently. And because of his size, he can take defenders out of shape. And I think we need that. Is either you're playing Onuachu and Osimhen at the same time, or you start Onuachu and then you let Osimhen come in later.
Well, that's difficult. You're talking about arguably the best striker on the continent of Africa, and you look at the best teams. They always start their best players, irrespective of how poor they play.
But from a tactical point of view, maybe you can let him start from the bench.
I don't think, again, tactically you can't drop your best players. So what Messi is to Argentina is what Osimhen is currently for the Super Eagles. Yeah. And you can't tell me Messi has a poor game, then the coach puts him on the bench to change something different. No. You play to the strength of your best players. And the best player in the Super Eagles currently is Victor Osimhen. So you have to find a way around him to get the best from him. Talking about the best players, Alassane Yusuf was good, really good on the day. And it begs the question, what do we do with scouting? Because if indeed he was fit,
he would have started.
No, Alassane wouldn't have made this squad. He came in because Ndidi was out injured. Now, this is a player who starts regularly for his club Royal Antwerp in Belgium. Yeah. He's a league winner. Yeah. He was pivotal to the league win. Yeah. He's played in the Champions League this season. In fact, he was part of the team that defeated Barcelona in the final group game of the Champions League. We've seen him in and out. And there are a lot of Alazans scattered around Europe waiting for the opportunity. But it feels like with the Super Eagles, it's just a selected few that regularly get called up, irrespective of form, irrespective of how well they play with their club sides. For example, Joe Aribo barely plays for Southampton, but he's almost guaranteed to be a part of the Super Eagles national team. It needs to stop, because competition, what competition does in the team is that it raises the performance level of the players, and we're seeing with Al-Azhar.
So I think that scouting for Nigeria, it's you mentioned Joe Aribo, you mentioned a couple of other players who somehow they seem to always have a what's the word now? Regardless, it doesn't matter what happens, they will make the cut to get into the team and play. I think they've earned that. That's what I would say. And earning that, there are a lot of angle to it. You mentioned scouting. The people in charge of the Al-Azhars, can they also do enough to ensure that these guys play in big profile teams? Maybe teams better than Royal Antwerp.
I don't understand.
Yeah.
It is not the job of the scouts.
I'm not saying scouts.
It is not the job of the scouts to do the work of an agent.
So, and that's where I'm going. Okay, yeah, but that's the word, agent. Maybe they are agents to do more, put them more in clubs where
it is not
they can be what.
See,
you ask an average Nigerian, how many times have they seen Al-Azhar play? How many times?
That's not the job of an average Nigerian. An average Nigerian is not the coach of the Super Eagles of Nigeria. An average Nigerian is not the head of the NFF technical committee. It is not the job of the average Nigerian to select or determine who plays for the national team. That is the job of the coach. That is the job of the NFF technical team.
But a lot of people don't watch these guys play.
I agree. But I think this example doesn't fit into this discussion, because the average man on the street, whatever he does, whatever he says, does not affect who plays for the national team. It is the coach. It is the NFF technical committee. While I agree with you that we need our players to play in the biggest leagues, it is the job of the technical committee, it is the job of the coach to go out there and look at these players and select the players who are best.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Suited for the national team.
The brightest and the fittest should always play. But these bright and fit players, if you don't watch them play, if you don't see them, if they are not playing in some of the biggest clubs in world football, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult. And maybe we should look inwards also. Maybe our league should be more on the TV. Because I have seen a couple of games, and I saw that midfield for the Super Eagles. There are local players who can do better than what we saw.
Olumide, you want to force me to an entirely different conversation.
No, but
you know my opinion about the NFL and NPFL, the league. I think that maybe we'll leave it for another day. We'll have a lengthy discussion about this NPFL and the national team and whatnot. I don't want us to digress.
Because I saw Aribo, I saw Iwobi, I saw Yeka.
Let me just put it out there. I think our best players are not in the league. Our best players are outside the NPFL. Now, if you think I am lying, take a look at the best players in the NPFL last season. A lot of them are not in the league. So it means that the NPFL is a channel for them to migrate to other leagues. It doesn't have to necessarily be the big leagues. Like, we'll do that. We'll have that conversation much later. But aside from the Super Eagles of Nigeria, what other team has caught your eye? Egypt had to do it late against Mozambique. Mohamed Salah. Ivory Coast got that first win. It was a good performance. Outside from the Super Eagles of Nigeria, what other team has caught your eyes?
I love the first game. That's the host nation. It was a good show for African football. A lot of technicalities in there. The typical African football that you know, the physicality. I didn't see a lot of that. I saw them try to play football, and it was good and pleasing to the eye. Like I said, good advertisement for African football. Away from that, I also think that most of the teams that have played, particularly the underdogs now, like we saw Egypt, we saw Ghana, you put Nigeria in that mix. I think they played sides that, on paper, these big boys should have won. Ghana, I'm talking about Ghana, Egypt, and Nigeria. But it was difficult. Nigeria had to come from a goal down to get that draw. Egypt, yes, they went ahead, but the opposition scored 2 quick goals, and it was tough. If not for that last-minute penalty, Egypt would have lost that game. And you saw Ghana. Let's talk about Ghana, because I think that Ghana was very, very disappointing. They didn't do anything. I expected them to have, just walked away. It should have been a routine win for them, but they struggled a lot. So I think that for all the games I've seen, it's a good show for African football.
All right, away from the AFCON, let's quickly touch on the Australian Open. And yeah, it's been exciting, but the heat, the players have complained about the heat. At some point, it got to about 27 to 28 degrees. It's going to impact performance.
It's going to. We have to be clear about that, because these players are not used to playing under a weather condition like that. But I think they will have to adjust. It's human nature. When you go to a new place, you need time to adapt. Some of them, day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6, they would have adapted to the new conditions out there. You're not going to stop the tournament because of the weather conditions. So I agree with you. It's going to impact. You're going to, I've seen some funny score lines, and I'll start with WTA. The defending champions herself is Zabalenka, winning 6-love, 6-1. I think it affected the person playing against her. She didn't have answers to whatever she's putting up. We've seen Coco Gauff also do 6-3, 6-love. So I've seen even from the guys, you've seen a lot of 5 sets and 4 sets. Their very percentage of straight 3 sets that I've seen is about maybe 15%, and it's also down to these weather conditions you are talking about. Players are struggling, to adapt and get their games on.
All right, the biggest casualty of the WTA for the first day was Marketa Vondrousova, defending champion of Wimbledon. Yeah. All right, we'll go on a break. When we come back, there's still more on the show. El Clasico, Real Madrid 4, Barcelona 1. What next for Xavi and his boys? Welcome back. You see your favorite sports show, Sports Speeds. I'm sure you're having fun with us in the studio, and you've enjoyed all of our analysis on the AFCON. Like we promised you, we're giving you all of the juicy information, analysis on the 2024 African Cup of Nations taking place in Ivory Coast. All right, we'll take a pause on that and switch focus to European football, and we'll start with the El Clasico. Real Madrid 4, Barcelona 1. It was the final of the Super Copa España. Barcelona defeated Osasuna to get to the final, 2-0, while Real Madrid played out entertaining 8-goal thriller, ended 5-3 in favor of Real Madrid against city rivals Atletico Madrid. And yes, at the home ground of Al Nassr, the current team of Cristiano Ronaldo, his former team, have ensured that they left with the title a year on from losing to Barcelona, ended 4-1. Vinicius Jr. with a fantastic first half performance, but my God, Real Madrid were miles ahead of Barcelona. Olumide.
Yeah, they are. And I'll say I'm not surprised. This is the second time they are meeting this season. The first time they met, he ended 3-1 in favor of Real Madrid. This time it's 4-1. And I think that for Barcelona, it's not like they don't have the players or they don't have the team. You can put a question mark on the manager. Maybe he needs to do something differently. But you look at their midfield, I keep saying it. I think Barcelona have one of the best midfield this season in world football. You can't parade Gundogan, Pedri, and then Frankie de Jong. And then up top, yes, you can say maybe the support cast, they are not at the level of these 3 guys. But the way these 3 control the game, I think they are going through a phase. That's the only thing I can say. For Madrid are just on another level. I keep saying it. For Ancelotti, you have to give him. He said something going into that final. That for him, it's not about how they play, but the performance should get them the result. He was much more concerned about the result. And you could see that in the way the players approached the game. They wanted it the most. They went for it. Look at Vini. That's the performance you need from a Vinicius Junior. And you can talk about the squad entirely. So I think that right now, you have to just give it to Madrid and Ancelotti. They are a level above Barcelona.
All right, quickly to the Italian Serie A, and the biggest game over the weekend was Milan versus Roma, and it ended 3-1 in favor of Stefano Pioli's side.
Yeah.
Mourinho is definitely feeling the heat right now. Roma just a point above 10th place to Torino on the table, and there's a feeling that it might not last to the end of the season.
So I'm concerned about Roma's form. A few weeks back, it seemed like they're a team who were in the top four contention. They seem to be, looking to break into that top four mix. But somehow they've collapsed. And the collapse is something beyond measures. I don't know how to explain it. It's not about the players. Something is wrong about that team. And you can talk about Jose's third year syndrome. Maybe it's a pattern now, because you look at him, Chelsea, Real Madrid, Spurs, Man United, now Roma. I think it's become a pattern, because like we know, when something happens the first time, you can say it's a one-off. It happens the second time, becomes coincident. But once the third time is in there, that's the pattern already. So I think that for Mourinho, if I'm part of the team, I'll tell him, man, if you are still going to be coaching, just do 2 years and let's see what goes after 2 years.
For Roma, like I said, struggling to make it into the top four, even struggling to make it to the European places. Napoli got their first win in 5 games in all competitions, and their first in 4 attempts in the league after a late winner by Rachmani in that particular game. And for Inter Milan, they continue the march to another league title. This time it was Monza on the receiving end. 5-1 winners, Inter Milan against Monza. Let's quickly touch on the English Premier League before we call it a day on the show. Manchester City, from a goal down, Kevin De Bruyne, comment the man, comment the hour, a goal and a pitch of an assist. And are we in for that City run, that customary City run in the second half of the season? Is KDB back, Haaland back at the end of the month?
I fear for Liverpool and Arsenal right now. Before that game, I was looking at City. I gave them about 65% of winning the league. But after that performance, with KDB back, I have to take it higher. I think it's about 85% or 90% right now. With KDB, his introduction in that game showed class. What he did was magical. You don't teach things like that. It's inborn. You have it or you don't have it. So I think that Pep, with KDB, with Haaland back, I think these guys are just going to make Pep a prophet. He has said he's going to win the Premier League again. Now he's just 2 points behind Liverpool. And Villa are beginning to, crack. They didn't win their game. We don't know what is going to be Arsenal's fate this time. So I think that City has to be top of that list to win it again. For
Manchester United, they played out a 2-2 draw with Spurs, and Andre Onana said he wanted to help United to 3 points. That was why he missed Cameroon's opener, the AFCON, conceded 2 goals. United gets all 3 points. All right, that's about you can take on the show. But before we say our goodbyes, let's quickly run through 1 or 2 transfer stories. And we're hearing that Manchester United, Newcastle, and AC Milan are ready to hijack West Ham's move for Stuttgart's Guinea striker Serhou Guirassy, who's lighting it up in the German Bundesliga. Manchester United forward Anthony Martial is ready to reject interest from Saudi Arabia because he would prefer to stay in Europe, with West Ham, Inter Milan and Fenerbahce linked with the 28-year-old France international. Olumide, thank you for being a part of the show today. Remember to follow us on our social media platform at Sports Pizza. Also follow us on our YouTube page, Sports Pizza. Like and subscribe to our YouTube page. Lovely, lovely content. We'll leave you with our video of the week. Do enjoy it. My name is Edwin Onyebolise. Do have a wonderful week. See you same time next week. God bless.